بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We start our discussion about غيبة or occultation and its philosophy. Before I go into detailed discussions about occultation of Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, we should have a general review of the story of prophethood and imamah. Those of you who have read lessons on Islamic beliefs, which is also available online, you might have seen this discussion there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never leaves humanity without guidance. Guidance through our fitrah, guidance through our aql, intellect, and guidance through revelation. When it comes to revelation, he says that لَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا. We have dispatched to all nations a messenger. So at least one messenger has been sent to every nation. Maybe more, but it's the minimum. It's a Rasul. Rasul, messenger, is the one that not only is a prophet, but he is someone that has been given a special message, because there were 124,000 prophets. Only 313 were Rasul among them. The rest of the prophets were receiving revelation, but this revelation was in order to help them deliver the message which was given to the messenger of that time. So they had access to divine revelation and knowledge. They were ma'soom, but they didn't have things that were directly given to them. For example, in the time of Prophet Musa ala nabiyana wa alihi wa alayhi salam, we had Prophet Harun, who was also Nabi, but he was not receiving a special, code of law, etc. from Allah. It was mission and message of Musa alayhi salam, and he was helping, communicating to people. So, لَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا. We have sent to all nations a messenger. And there were prophets to communicate, to help, because sometimes that message was not available, sometimes was distorted, sometimes was missing. So there were prophets to remind, to teach again the same thing. And when humanity reached the point that they could understand and receive the last message of God and keep it, at least the word of it, keep it literally, not that they were able to necessarily understand everything, interpret everything. No, they were able to receive the last message and preserve. Then Allah sent the last messenger with the last message, the last revelation, and then there would be no prophet, no revelation, and humanity has now enough of guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue for the rest of the history. But in addition to receiving revelation, we need a person to live among us as shaheed, as shahid, a person to live among us as hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person who would be a hadi, إنما أنت منذر ولكل قوم هاد, a person who be waliyul amr. So we need such a person. Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam played this role. Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein. But on the one hand, the Imams were not, unfortunately, faced with open hearts, with welcome. Quite opposite. They were surrounded with difficulties, faced with challenges. All of them were killed by poison or sword. ما منا إلا مقتول أو مسموم or مسموم or مقتول. Any person either was killed by poison or by sword. But they managed to explain all the rules and methods and all the details that humanity needs for the rest of the time to work with the last message of Allah. So we had 255 years from time of Hijrah till martyrdom of Imam Askari, plus 13 years in Mecca. So we have 255 plus 13, 255, 268 years of living with Ma'soom, either the Prophet or 11 Imams, to teach us Quran, to teach us how to implement the Quran, how to apply the Quran to the new issues. So now we don't need any new revelation. We don't need any infallible teacher to be living among us in a visible public way so that he would talk to us directly. We have him as a hujjah of Allah. We have him as a witness. We have him as hadi. We have him as waliyul amr. But as a person who would teach us, he has already trained people, trained humanity. They have trained humanity with giving them all the necessary instructions and the tools, more than just details, the tools like ijtihad, so that they can carry on. There is something great which has not happened. For that, we need again guidance. And that is to have universal establishment of justice, equity, brotherhood, peace. This is something that we cannot do it ourselves, despite all the things that we have received. We have the Quran with us. We have all the teachings of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt with us. We have lots of tools. But these are enough to help us to carry out our responsibilities and to be good believers. Actually, as we said before, and inshallah I will talk again, believers of the time of غيبة, who are committed, who are loyal, are generally speaking the best. But we have no experience, we have no knowledge and wisdom that are required for offering justice to all people of the world and make a system that would not fall. So to establish it and maintain it, again we need someone ma'soom to be with us. In this time, alhamdulillah, we have received enough of knowledge and scholarship to remain as mu'min and mu'minah, to have Islamic lifestyle, Islamic families, Islamic business, Islamic organizations, Islamic movements, if we implement them. Of course, sometimes we call our things Islamic and they may not be Islamic. But if someone wants to really follow Islam and implement Islam, it's possible today. And Imams عليهما السلام have trained people in their school that would be able to play the role of scholars who are their hujjah over us. Right from the time of early Imams, we have instructions given, for example, by Imam Baqir, Imam Sadiq, عليهما السلام, up to Imam Mahdi, that Shia should refer to the people who have knowledge of their teachings. For example, Imam Mahdi said, فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ. They are my hujjah over you and I am hujjah of Allah. So he's hujjah over them and they are hujjah over us. Through them we follow the hujjah of Allah. So there is a plan, a very wise plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help humanity all the time with His guidance to move as individuals, as nations, but also as humanity. We have guidance for us as individuals. We have guidance for every generation and every nation. But also Allah has planned for all humanity, for our history. And step by step, we have moved towards that plan. And now we are in the time that it's up to us to help with materialization of that plan, or if we don't help or we do bad things, na'udhu billah, we delay it. But the plan is going to sooner or later materialize. Just up to us to bring it closer or postpone it. Na'udhu billah. So this is a general view that you have to understand. And then lots of things, are there. For example, how Imams established the network of wukala. Maybe in this course, or I am planning to have a follow-up course, inshallah, we can talk about network of wukala. not from the time of Imam Askari salam, gradual. Everything has to be gradual. Imam Kadhim alayhi salam had a network of wukala. Imam was in touch with them, and he was asking the Shia to be in touch with his representatives. In the time of Imam Mahdi and Imam Askari عليهما السلام, since they were under severe control in Samarra, this network helped a lot. If this network was not there, the Shia could be losing connection with Imams, and then, God forbid, many people could go astray or get stuck. Then, in the time of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, what we have is the concept of Na'ib. This is something new for the Shia, for humanity. Not to be able to meet your Imam, ask him questions, receive guidance. An Imam is also not supposed to directly communicate to his community. Shia were trained to refer to the agents, to the representatives, but those were able to communicate to Imam, to meet Imam, to travel, to see him with difficulty, but connection was there. And if someone was losing trust in the representative could communicate to Imam, and Imam could give them some signs, etc. Things were sorted out. But now the Shia had to enter another stage, and that is to have wukala, but wukala, instead of connecting to Imam, be connected to the Na'ib of Imam, one person which was appointed by Imam to be the center of communications. Of course, with all the difficulties which was there. Therefore, these people had to be very, very reliable people, trustworthy people, but also very much in control of their emotions, of their communications, exercise, lots of silence, not to, introduce themselves to everyone, not to accept everyone, to reach them, not to give too many receipts and signatures. There are lots of things here. So this is a new thing, and the Shia got used to it. First, second, third, and the fourth Na'ib. Inshallah, we'll talk about them. Then, when was Ali ibn Muhammad Samuri, was from Samarra, Imam alayhi salam gave him instruction. I am going now to read for you the instruction of Imam, although I will talk about other Nawab later, because I'm talking about the change in the stages. I think we need to see this. What I am quoting for you now is from Al-Ghayba by Sheikh Tusi, Rizwanullah Ta'ala. This is also a very good book on Imam Mahdi, and in particular on غيبة, which is our topic, by Sheikh Tusi, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayh. One of our very, very great scholars, Sheikh al-Ta'ifa. We are very much in debt to him, and we owe him a lot. May Allah bless him and Sheikh al-Saduq and all our scholars. So, Hadith 365. The narrator says that I was in the city of السلام, which seems to be a title for Baghdad. في السنة التي توفيها الشيخ أبو الحسن علي بن محمد السمري قدس سره. He says, the year that Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri passed away, I was there in Baghdad before he passed away and perhaps after. Anyway, he was there before his death. فحضرته قبل وفاته بأيام. I met him few days before his departure. فأخرج إلى الناس توقيعا نسخته. He brought out for people, he showed people a message, written message, and this is the copy of it. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا علي بن محمد السمري أعظم الله أجر إخوانك فيك. When someone has lost a dear one and is mourning for a dear one, we say أعظم الله لك الأجر. For example, في مصيبة والدك or والدتك, yeah, we say may Allah make your reward great because of losing your father, your mother, your child, etc. Imam says to Ali ibn Muhammad, may Allah make the reward of your brothers for losing you great. فإنك ميت ما بينك وبين 6 أيام. You are going to die in 6 days. فاجمع أمرك. Sort out your things. Get ready. ولا توس إلى أحد فيقوم مقامك بعد وفاتك. Don't make wasiyah to anyone to continue your job, to be your successor. فقد وقعت الغيبة التامة. Complete غيبة has arrived. فلا ظهور إلا بعد إذن الله تعالى ذكره. There is no zuhur except after permission from Allah the Almighty. May His remembrance or His dhikr be elevated. لا ظهور إلا بعد إذن الله. So it's up to him. But it's not going to be very soon, very easy. وذلك بعد طول الأمد وقسوة القلوب وامتلاء الأرض جورا. But this is going to have to be after some time, and after some hearts become hard, and the earth will be filled with injustice. وسيأتي شيعتي or in some versions لشيعتي. For my Shia would come, or from my Shia, for example, some people who would come, من يدعي المشاهدة, who would claim that mushahada has happened, meaning they have seen me, or meaning that it's the time of zuhur. We will talk about, inshallah, possibility of meeting Imam Mahdi Jalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, either in this course or in the follow-up course. ألا فمن ادعى المشاهدة قبل خروج السفياني والصيحة فهو كذاب مفتر. Be aware, whoever claims mushahada before the signs come, especially Imam mentions two signs, خروج السفياني والصيحة. Sufyani, before coming of Sufyani, and sayha, cry. Whoever claims before these two signs is a liar. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. So he says he brought out this message, this writing. فَنَسَخْنَا هَذَا التَّوْقِيعِ, means we made a copy of it. We also wrote it down. نسخة in Arabic, نستنسخ or في نسخة, means when you write from another text. We wrote this tawqi and we left Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri. فَلَمَّا كَانَ الْيَوْمُ السَّادِسِ عُدْنَا إِلَيْهِ, because Imam had told him within 6 days, so he said that 6th day we went back. وَهُوَ يَجُودُ بِنَفْسِهِ, he was near death. He was, leaving this world. فَقِيلَ لَهُ, some people told him, مَنْ وَسِيُّكَ مِنْ بَعْدِكَ, who is your wasi? He said, لِلَّهِ أَمْرٌ هُوَ بَالِغُهُ وَقَضَى. He said, Allah has an affair, or as a command or affair. Amr can mean one of the two, and he would fulfill it, and then he passed away without introducing anything. فَهَذَا آخِرُ كَلَامٍ سُمِعَ مِنْهُ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ وَأَرْضَاهُ. This was the last thing which was heard from him. With the death of Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri in the year 329, then we entered the stage that still continues. And it is the stage of al-Ghaybatul Kubra. What is the difference between this and Ghaybat al-Suqra? In Ghaybat al-Suqra, Imam himself appointed one person with name, with details, and only one person, and Shia had to refer to him when they needed guidance, or when they wanted to, for example, send a message or money, etc. But now, in this time, we have to show our commitment and our maturity by taking one more step. We don't have Prophet with us, like Ashab of the Prophet. We don't have Imams with us, like people in the time of 11 Imams. We don't have even a specific Naib of Imam, like the Shia in the time of Ghaybat al-Suqra. But Allah has given us so much of guidance, and inshallah we have made so much of understanding and commitment that now, without being given a specific names, we can find out through qualifications who would be able to fill this gap, to be hujjah between Imam and us. He has given instructions. أما الحوادث الواقعة فارجعوا فيها إلى رواة أحاديثنا, and many other things. We need to find them. They have authority from Imam, and Imam from Allah. They have authority over us, but we need to find them. We don't grant them authority, but we have to find them. We have to look for them. And in this process, we have to be very objective. We have to be very careful. I cannot choose someone who is, for example, more convenient for me, or someone who is more, I don't know, famous or popular, or I don't know, easy to deal with, etc. These are not objective factors. I have to find who can represent Imam the best in this time. Definitely Imam needs knowledge, so he has to be a'lam, the most knowledgeable. Imam is at the peak of purity. This person cannot be ma'soom, but should be someone whose taqwa is unquestionable. He shouldn't be just muttaqi like ordinary mu'mineen. Marja' taqleed should be very, very pious and God-fearing. The way he talks, the way he deals with things, and he should only observe will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam has wisdom. His deputy should have wisdom. Imam is aware of our situation. His deputy should be also aware of the Shia situation and Muslim situation and human situation in the world today as much as he can, because Imam has knowledge of Ghaib, but this person has no knowledge of Ghaib. Imam has Isma, this person has no Isma. But who is among us non-ma'soom people in the highest level of knowledge, and then among those who have knowledge, taqwa and wisdom, etc. So, in this time, we should not expect, and also we should not accept, whoever claims that I have connection with Imam Mahdi and I receive messages from him and bring to you. This is not the time of such things. Some people say, I am Bab of Imam. I am the gate. You can come to me and I will talk to Imam and bring back. This has passed. Whether we like it or not, this stage is not for such things. Inshallah, we'll talk about this. It's possible that some people may meet Imam alayhi salam. It's possible, maybe. But this is not normally when they want. No one can say, and I have never seen or heard that anyone claimed, or for anyone is claimed, that whenever he wanted, he met Imam alayhi salam. So that people can tell you, whatever you want, I can go and ask Imam Mahdi and bring the news back, a reply back from him. There is no such a thing. Those who have been able to meet Imam alayhi salam, the genuine ones, never claim that we have control over this. Whenever we want, we go and see him. And we bring you the answer. And for our own issues, we ask him for guidance. My fatwas are based on his instructions, for example. They never claim such things. They have to be responsible for their own decisions, fatwas, etc. They cannot shift the responsive to Imam and say, he's behind my decision, etc. So, it's very important to consider this plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from beginning of history till end. One of the things that we find about غيبة, and I think that is the last thing I can say today, and we continue inshallah with the reasons and philosophy of غيبة inshallah next session, next week. One of the things is that there is a special secret here that we are not told. Inshallah, we'll mention several reasons which are actually mentioned in the hadith. But these are things that were able to be shared and communicated. In addition to these things, there is something that our hadith refer to as sir. There is a secret that only at the time of zuhur, that also becomes clear for us. Right now we don't know and we cannot know. Let me read for you one hadith, and inshallah then we can have your questions. This is in, again, كمال الدين وتمام النعمة, page, in my version is page 510. I will share with you the screen. Okay, I hope you can see it is page 510 in this version, and it is hadith, it is the last hadith in that chapter, Bab 44. Abdullah ibn الفضل الهاشمي says, سمعت الصادق جعفر ابن محمد عليهما السلام يقول. I heard Imam Sadiq alayhi salam saying, إن لصاحب هذا الامر غيبة لا بد منها. For صاحب الامر, the one who has this affair of velaya in the complete sense, has a غيبة, has occultation that must happen. It's inevitable. يرتاب فيها كل مبتل. Whoever goes after falsehood will lose iman. قلت, he says, I said, وَلِمَ جُعِلْتُ فِدَاكَ. May I be your ransom? Why? Why there is غيبة? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam echoed this hadith, said, لِأَمْرٍ لَمْ يُؤْذَنْ لَنَا فِي كَشْفِهِ لَكُمْ. Because of something that we are not permitted to unveil for you. So the real reason, the real secret, we cannot tell you. He says, فَمَا وَجْهُ الْحِكْمَةِ فِي غَيْبَةِ. So what is the hikmah? What is the wisdom behind it? At least tell me something that I can understand. Imam said, وَجْهُ الْحِكْمَةِ فِي غَيْبَتِهِ وَجْهُ الْحِكْمَةِ فِي غَيْبَاتِ مَنْ تقدمه من حجج الله تعالى ذكره. The point of wisdom here is similar to what we have in previous hujjaj of Allah. One of the things that actually was the reason for Sheikh الصدوق to write the book كمال الدين وتمام النعمة was to refer to the prophets in the past that they for some time were in غيبة. So this غيبة is not something new. Yes, in this scale and in this way that I explained is new. But there were times in the past that some prophets also for some time were غائب. Like for example, Prophet Musa for 40 days went away from his ummah. We have many of these things mentioned in Kamaluddin wa Tamamun Ni'mah. Inshallah, bi'iznillah, next week I will talk more about why Sheikh Saduq wrote this book. It's a beautiful story. So, وجه الحكمة في غيبته وجه الحكمة في غيبات من تقدمه من حجج الله تعالى ذكره. إن وجه الحكمة في ذلك لا ينكشف إلا بعد ظهوره. But if you want to really understand, you cannot understand unless when it is finished. When zuhur happens, everything becomes clear. Like what? Like in the story of Musa and Khidr, عليهما السلام. Musa was not able to understand why Khidr is making a hole in that sheep, or why killed that young boy, or why was erecting the wall which was collapsing. Musa was not able to understand this till they were separating from each other. Ibn al-Fadl, this Abdullah ibn al-Fadl al-Hashmi, Imam says, O son of Fadl, إن هذا الأمر أمر من الله or أمر من أمر الله تعالى وسر من سر الله وغيب من غيب الله. This is a secret, this is a hidden thing. متى علمنا أنه عز وجل حكيم صدقنا بأن أفعاله كلها حكمة. We know Allah is Hakim, and every decision He makes is wise. Ilm Ijmali. When you know someone is Hakim and you don't know why he has done this, you know that he has a reason. وَإِنْ كَانَ وَجْهُهَا غَيْرَ مُنْكَشِفٍ. Even if its reason is not disclosed to us. How Musa had to trust Khidr. Any person should trust someone that has been given knowledge and wisdom, let alone Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, the main reason for غيبة would be known to us fully when inshallah غيبة finishes, when Imam Mahdi comes. But still there are things that we can understand and are shared with us. There are a few reasons for غيبة that inshallah we will talk about them inshallah next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Recording stopped. Thank you very much, Sheikh.
You're welcome.
If any of the students have questions, if you could raise your hands, and in that way I can call your names out one by one. In the meantime, first, Sheikh, I'll just ask some questions which have been sent to me as direct messages.
Yes.
So one of the students is listening to the class with their 12-year-old child, and I believe the child had a question. If I just find the question, one moment. Yeah, so the question is, can you tell us about the state of our Imam now? What form is he taking? Is he in the form of a person? Does he eat like us? Does he have a job? Does he have a wife, a family? Does he see us? Does he see us with his eyes, or does he feel us with his heart? Does he feel cold, hot, hungry, thirsty, just like us? So if you could just answer that question to the child, please.
Thank you. That's a great question. MashaAllah. This is our, inshallah, topic. After I talk about the reasons of غيبة, then inshallah I will talk about this. But because we have three different opinions, we believe that Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif is present among us, and he has physical presence. It's not that Imam Mahdi is a spirit or he's in another planet, or he has a physical body but it's not visible. No. Although some people may have thought like this, but it seems that, and inshallah we will mention some evidence and some hadith for that, that Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif lives among us. Sometime maybe we have seen him, but we don't know whom we met. He walks among us. He puts his feet on our, rugs or mats. We are not able to identify him. Maybe sometimes also Allah intervenes and people cannot see him, not because he's invisible. Maybe somehow either their attention is diverted, or for example, they miss him. But he's physically alive. He may become ill. He may catch cold. He becomes hungry. He becomes thirsty. All the things that with this physical body we experience, he would experience. But the thing is that because he has very good, a spiritual condition and very, good diet, he does everything properly. Therefore, he would not suffer like us from, some stress or some other issues. He can have a life which is long, but it's possible that he catch cold. It's possible that he may become thirsty or hungry, etc. In one lecture or two lectures, when I talked about dua, necessity of praying for Imam Mahdi, and why in our du'as we have this, I have mentioned some of these things, that why we should pray for Imam. Because if he was not in a condition that could be suffering from some of these issues at all, why then we need to pray for him? We should just pray for his faraj. But enemies can cause him problems, and also natural problems can also happen. So we need to pray for him, give sadaqah on his behalf. But the thing is that Imam, inshallah, will introduce himself. He wouldn't change his condition. He is not going to become, for example, a person who had no body, then would have body, or was invisible, becomes. No, he would introduce himself, identify himself to the people, and remains like that. He would remain in that condition so that people can listen to him, communicate to him at the time of zuhur, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Inshallah, that answered the question. But so the child had another question as well regarding the representatives. So regarding the general representatives of the Imam, is it necessary that they will always live in the Middle East, or is it possible that they could live even in the West? And linked to this question is another question I received regarding the Maraja. is it possible that is it okay to call them the general representatives of our Imam?
Is it possible what?
When we refer to the Maraja, is it possible to call them the general representatives of the Imam? Is it okay to
Yeah, Na'ib Am. Yes, we can call them Na'ib Am, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, we had Marja in the West. When Imam Khomeini was in Paris, he was Marja. So location is not important, but qualifications are important. Right now, the main centers of learning are in the Middle East, are next to the shrines of Ma'sumin. There is history, there is tradition, and thousands of students go there, and then among them, few people become marja. If a time comes that we can have such things in the West or in the Far East, and we have such hubs of learning where thousands of students go, for example, and then out of them, few people emerge at the peak of knowledge and taqwa, why not? It's possible. For us, geography is not important, ethnicity is not important. It's just a matter of where a scholarship is there, where it's available, where you can learn, where you can grow. People can go from any part of the world and become marja. No one stops them because you come from this part of the world or you have this ethnicity, your color is this color. No. But have the qualifications. We cannot compromise about qualifications.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
Yeah.
I believe Brother Shabir has a question. Brother Shabir, are you okay to ask your question?
I'm sorry.
Brother, if you could unmute yourself so that we can hear your question.
I'm so sorry. I thought I did. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I can hear you, yes.
Sheikh Shomali, we have been following you for quite a few years, and we really enjoy both me and my equal half, perhaps better half. But may I ask you two questions, if you allow me, but they're of equal importance.
Yes.
One is that I had a long dialogue with a very enlightened brother of our majority, Al-Sunnah, and we became very good friends. They said that they believe, and he had no problems about believing in the 11 honorable Imams, but he said, prove to me the 12th Imam was born. Now, at that time, I didn't have any knowledge about the books. Now, obviously, books written, the ones that you mentioned, are authentic books by Al-Shia scholars as well as some Al-Sunnah. Is that enough, or is there some alternative that you would bring up in your dialogue with Al-Sunnah, who is enlightened and not angry? And number two is that how do we reconcile ourselves when we are told by some ulama of Al-Shia from the member, I've heard, whether right or wrong, that Imam is not appearing nowadays, at this moment in time, or whenever in the later moments, previous moments, that because of our faith is not really, our faith is compromised. Now that is a very blanket statement. I've heard that myself, but I don't know if it's true, and if you would like to comment on that. But you can answer me any question if you wish.
Sure.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With respect to first question, so we mentioned hadith from our Sunni brothers and their great scholars about the idea of Al-Mahdi, the fact that he is progeny of Lady Fatima, Amirul Mu'mineen, Imam Hussein, etc. This much is very clear. Whether Imam Mahdi was son of Imam Askari and already born, this is something that we have some Sunni great scholars who believe like Shia, the same, I mentioned examples. But some Sunni scholars have doubt about this part. They are not denying Al-Mahdi, they are not denying that, for example, he was son of Amir al-Mu'minin, Lady Fatima, Imam Hussein, etc. But they may have question about this part. So we can refer them to the books of their own scholars. We can also try to answer in different way. For example, you know, the hadith about 12 Amir, 12 leaders after the Prophet. Who are those 12? In the book Lessons on Imam and Wilaya, I have mentioned, you know, this discussion and how some struggle to find 12 people. And then, because if they start from the first person after the Prophet up to 12, then they have to include people like Yazid. If they want to pick and choose, then on what basis? Because some of the people who come later, even the good ones, you can find like them later as well. So things like that, things like, you know, the concept of Shaheed, which again in the book Lessons on Imam I have explained, these can help to clarify for them that Hujjah of Allah, Imam, must be there. We cannot say for centuries we are left without any Hujjah. So we have to, briefly, we have to divide between two things. The idea of Al-Mahdi, it's very clear, very obvious. The person of Imam being born, this is where we can refer them to some of their own scholars or approach it through general discussion about Imam and Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if they are familiar with, you know, Shia scholars like Sheikh الصدوق, Sheikh Tusi, I think even for them these people can be enough Hujjah. Because if you know someone like Sheikh الصدوق, Sheikh Kulaini, Sheikh Mufid, how much their knowledge was great, how much taqwa they had, and they lived very close to that time, and they report through mutawatir ways that Imam Mahdi was born. Even a non-Shia shouldn't have any doubt. As we also accept many hadiths when a reliable Sunni scholar has narrated, we accept. Regarding your second question, inshallah we talk about zuhur, but basically there are two things that people may think would be the reason for not having zuhur. Some people may think maybe because we don't have still enough of zulm, because after the earth is filled with injustice. Some people may think still it's not filled with injustice because you know, there are good things also, good people also. Maybe we have to wait till the earth is filled. Not that we want that, but that has not yet come. Situation would be so bad that the earth would be filled with injustice. But this is not, I think, acceptable, because to be filled with injustice doesn't mean that there should be no good person and no good action. Everything should be zulm. No. Zulm has such a quality that even if there is some level of it, it can make the whole thing damage. You know, like for example, if you want to spoil milk, if you have 1,000 liter milk, you don't need 1,000 liter poison to make it poisoned or spoil it. Even a little impurity can make all of it damaged. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran said, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Fasad is zahir. And between zuhur and to feel is not big difference. So my concern is not that side. The other reason is whether humanity is prepared for being welcoming the Hujjah of Allah, welcome him and support him. At least considerable number of mu'mineen who would be able to help Imam. This is, I think, the main thing. Not that we don't have good people. We have the best people, as we said, mu'mineen who are loyal in this time. They are very good. But we have best, maybe some of the best individuals. But as a community, as team, especially as network, still we have to work. Imam doesn't need just good individuals. Imam needs a community which is able to be a good sample for what Imam wants to offer humanity. Imam should be able to say, look at my community, look at these people. They don't do zulm to anyone. They don't do zulm even to their enemies. And with them I want to establish universal justice. We have individuals like this. But do we have a group like this? Do we have a city, even a village like this that we can say all people of this village? Or a network that we can say all members of this network don't do zulm even to their enemies. They don't do zulm to themselves. They don't do zulm to their family, children, neighbors, colleagues, parents, enemies. No zulm to anyone. This is what we need. So we don't want to say people are not good, but I think it's a stage of development, a stage that we as a community should work on it.
May I comment?
Yes.
Please. Thank you very much. That was a very helpful response. May I ask just a quick question? Is that do you have a private other lessons in learning for non-scholars to learn further in detail for adults or young ones, Quranic knowledge? Because I'm very, very much interested in learning, well, of course, the Quranic Arabic, which I'm trying to learn online, but also the implications. And I try to recall the ayahs which apply to some incidents in my life. And I'm Shabir Hassan Ali Ladek from New Jersey, USA. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We have an online program, Kawthar Learning Circle. So you can go to the website and see the programs which are there. Maybe it suits you. You have 1 year foundation. And then.
I'm sorry, can you repeat, please?
Kawthar Learning Circle.
Okay, thank you.
And we have actually, I think, people from New Jersey also. Yeah.
Okay.
We have few people from New Jersey. May Allah bless you.
Okay. Thank you. Shukran.
Ahsantum. Do you know Brother Farooq also? Farooq Bandali? Dr. Farooq?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can talk to him, inshallah.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Jazakumullah khair. Ahsantum. May Allah bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Ahsantum. Fiyah.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. I think that's all the questions that we have for today. There doesn't appear to be any further questions.
Okay, thank you very much also for hosting, and thank to all of you for your participation and questions and comments and du'as. We need your du'as, inshallah, to move forward. At the end, we end with du'a faraj. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala aba'ih. في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم اشف مرضانا، اللهم ارحم موتانا، اللهم اقض حوائجنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. التماس دعاء. أحسنت.